For many years I've wanted to visit Jordan in order to see two very different ancient cities, Petra in the south and Jerash in the north. I finally got the chance to make the trip there in the last week of 2013 with my 13-year-old daughter. This video is a short account of our trip. On day one of the trip, we arrived at Queen Alia International Airport, which is south of Amman. The first thing we did was collect our rental car, as we chose to drive ourselves rather than rely on a driver/guide. When we got the car, we were a bit shocked to find out that the fuel tank was virtually empty, so we had to drive immediately to the nearest filling station. We checked into our 4-star hotel near Jordan University and had a look at the snow in the area, which was still on the ground from the heavy snowfall that had happened 2 weeks earlier. Now, turning to the map, you'll see the route we took along the desert highway to Wadi Musa, which is the modern town closest to Petra. Like this. We arrived in the town of Wadi Musa in the afternoon, which left us enough time to see Petra before it got dark. We were very fortunate that the hotel we were staying in was only a 5-minute walk from the entrance gates to the Petra site. Petra has a long history, but the main attractions were built by the Nabateans in the 1st and 2nd centuries BC. Then in AD 106, the Romans absorbed Petra into their empire, and as a result, they built some of the structures such as the theater and the tomb of the Roman governor Sextius Florentius. In the picture, you can see the 3 large blocks, which are called the Jinn blocks, which are at the beginning, at the entrance to the site of Petra. There's another picture showing some camels. Camels as well as donkeys and horses can be found in the Seek, which is a narrow passageway, natural passageway into the site of Petra, and it's a bit dangerous for tourists, as sometimes these animals are moving quite quickly through this narrow area. And the third picture shows the treasury, which is really the most famous attraction in Petra. Quite impressive to see. On our second day at Petra, we spent the whole day seeing as much as we could. We walked past some of the sites that we'd seen the day before, such as the treasury, and walked deeper into the Petra site to see places such as the Bint al-Qasr temple, which is actually in the top left picture behind a row of Roman columns. Interestingly, as we were walking through the site, we saw a group of Jordanian men dressed as ancient Nabateans who were practicing military maneuvers. They let us pose for pictures later on. So after seeing the so-called Nabateans, we made the hike to another of the most famous and incredible sites at Petra, which is the monastery. And to get to the monastery, you have to go on a fairly difficult hike, about a 1-hour hike. However, people who are handicapped or have difficulty walking can get a ride most of the way on a donkey for a fee, of course. And we found the Bedouin guides constantly asking us if we wanted a ride. And as we had no real reason to think we couldn't carry ourselves, we declined. And in the bottom picture here, you can see more of the tombs that we explored. It was an exhausting day, and our legs were very tired at the end of it. On day 4, after breakfast, we set off for North Jordan, specifically to the city of Jerash. It is about 50 kilometers north of Amman. It was a Hellenistic city that was later taken over by the Romans. After that, Byzantine Christians built a number of structures at the site as well. Following a series of earthquakes and other unfortunate events, the town's population became greatly reduced and abandoned. This amazing ancient city sat largely untouched and covered by sand until Westerners rediscovered it. The pictures on this page show just a few of the many sites we saw there. On the top left, we can see Hadrian's Gate, which was built for the Roman emperor at the time. Here we can see the North Temple, which is actually my favorite site at Jerash. It's in very good condition. In the top right, we can see the Temple of Artemis, which was very impressive as well. I took pictures silhouetting the temple at sunset. It was quite impressive. The final picture shows me at the Temple of Zeus overlooking the Forum. Very impressive, in places in very good condition. Some of the other structures that we saw are the Hippodrome, where they used to hold chariot races, and various Byzantine churches. After visiting Jerash, we spent the night at the Olive Branch Hotel on the road between Jerash and Ajloun. That evening was quite cold, even inside the hotel. And when we had supper in the restaurant, we wore layers of clothing, scarves, and wool hats. Day 5 was our last full day in Jordan. Considering that we were not far from Ajloun, we decided to visit the castle there. This castle, called Qalat al-Rabad, was built by the Muslim commander Saladin to block Crusader movement east out of the Jordan Valley. I was interested to learn that the walls had been badly damaged by the Mongols, who bombarded the fortress with catapults. The top is in bad condition, but parts of the inside are restored and contain a museum. The pictures show, first of all, the entrance for visitors. Then we can see a picture showing the forest below the castle and the steep walls, which have been quite formidable for attackers. Then we can see the staircase inside the fortress. Then looking at the top of the fort, you can get an idea of how much it's decayed. The view from there was magnificent. You could see a long distance in every direction. We found an Arabic Islamic inscription on a big piece of stone. I have no idea exactly what that was. And finally, a pile of catapult ammunition. I would guess these to be from 5 to 10 kilograms in weight. they could do a lot of damage, I'm sure. Well, all in all, we were glad we visited Ajloun Castle. After that, we drove back to Amman, to the International Hotel, where we spent the night. On day 6, we had to fly back to Dubai at 5 p.m., but that still left us plenty of time to see just one last attraction in Jordan, the Citadel in Amman. The Citadel is a natural fortress on a hill in the center of Amman. The site has many structures, including the Muslim Umayyad Palace, the National Archaeological Museum, and the Temple of Hercules. The pictures on this slide show different features of the temple. A few columns are still standing. You can also see the left hand and elbow from the Hercules statue, which gives you an idea about how big the original statue must have been. It was probably 10 meters high. We had a tour guide who pointed out a carving showing the head of Medusa with her snake hair from Greek mythology. He also pointed out a Roman sarcophagus, maybe a general or some other important person. As this was a short trip, we didn't see some famous attractions in the country like the Dead Sea, Wadi Rum, Aqaba, and the desert castles, and many others. So we'll have to go there again. We found the Jordanians to be very polite and dignified people, although the prices were fairly expensive. I do hope to be able to make the trip back to Jordan within a few years. Goodbye, ma salama.